Good morning, and it's 8:30 on a Monday morning, and that means it's property finance Q&A time. So I'm here for probably the next 30 minutes or so, depending on the amount of questions that we get. And welcome along to it if you're watching it live. Welcome along if you're watching the replay. And if you are watching the replay, just put a hashtag replay in the comments so that I know you are. So maybe you're a regular here on a Monday morning with me, maybe or not. Maybe this is the first time you viewed it. So what do? So I just hang around for a little while, and people pop some questions, anything to do with property finance really, and I'll answer them. Pretty simple. And what do I know about property finance that says I can answer the question that you put in there? Well, 20 years experience as a property finance broker, brokering anything from a simple buy-to-let up to a multi-million-pound development loan and anything and everything in between. Many hundreds of mortgages, many hundreds of bridging loans, all that sort of stuff. And I've been teaching investors like you really how to get more savvy, more intelligent with how they finance their property purchases for the last nearly 9 years since January 2013. So there we are. Got a question? Stick it in the box and I'll answer it in between drinking my cup of tea, because nice to jump on with a cup of tea. Yeah, makes it feel homely, I guess. So a few people saying good morning. Great, good morning. Excellent, thank you. Got a question. Now, if you're not sure what a question looks like, it looks like this. From Aston. Aston's on one of my mentorship programs. So good to see you. Always good to see you, Aston. There we are. So, and hey, look, here's what I do. People ask questions, but I actually put it up on the screen so that you can read it as well as me read it out and read it to myself, because that's better, isn't it? So if you've got a question, then pop it in. And while you think about the question you want to ask, I'm going to deal with Aston's question. So always good to see you, Aston. House for sale and auction near me. Not on the land registry. Am I right? Bridgers wouldn't lend as there's nothing they can officially raise a charge against. Big land registry delays. I mean, you couldn't get it registered within 28 days. House sales taking 5 or 6 months to appear. Right. Okay. So let's do a little bit of a history lesson here for Aston and anyone else that's watching this live or on the replay. So the land registry is a 20th century creation, around about the mid 20th century, I think, but don't quote me on that. So before then, no property was registered. There was no registry to register it on. You just had deeds. So the government of the day thought, it'd be a good idea if we actually collated all of this information so that we could track who owns what. So the land registry was created. Now, whether they thought it was too big an exercise to go through and add every property, every title deed in the UK to that land registry, I don't know, but they didn't. They just said, right, well, we'll just wait until property changes hands, and when it changes hands, we'll put it on the land registry. Now, in the 50, 60, 70 years that's been going, progressively more properties have been bought and sold, and progressively more properties have been listed on the land registry. Now, so that's the history. Now, if a property has yet to be sold since the land registry was created, it won't be registered. And this looks like what you found, Aston. Now you know a bit of the history. It has absolutely nothing to do with the ability to buy and sell a property, or to buy and sell a property within 28 days at auction. What your solicitor needs to see is the deeds. And as long as the seller can provide the deeds to say that the person that's putting it into auction and selling the property is the rightful owner, you can buy it at auction and bridgers will lend on it. So absolutely you can do that. So the question to do with your solicitor, of course, you need to do some preparatory work, and that's why the legal pack is important. So you need to be checking through the legal pack that should be with the auction property to see that it is being sold with. Okay, now the grades of title as well. Let's talk about that. So the strongest title you can buy, the strongest set of deeds you can buy, is absolute title. In other words, you are the person selling it is absolutely the legitimate owner of that property or piece of land. If that isn't proved beyond doubt or provable beyond doubt, you would next move down to possessory title. So that means, well, we're pretty sure that the person that is selling the property is the owner, but we can't find the original deeds. And you would take out indemnity insurance against someone else turning up and say with the deeds after you bought it and saying, hey, what are you doing with my property? So the indemnity insurance would pay out and you would cede control of the property because there is a legitimate owner with absolute title, and you would get your money paid back to you under the insurance. So now let me say quite here and now, I'm not a solicitor, but in getting on for 40 years of dealing with property, you tend to pick up a few bits and pieces. So there we are. Good. So if it looks good, Aston, go bid for it, fella, and let me know how you get on. I'd love to know. In fact, ping me over some stuff. I mean, you and I communicate regularly anyway. Ping me over some stuff and show me the lot number. Let's have a look at it. So there we are. Right. Yeah, there we are. Ches, good to see you. And we had a chat a few weeks ago, didn't we? So do you need to buy Japanese knotweed properties in a limited company to be eligible for the 150% rebate? Yes, you do. Correct. That's a very, very easy, very short answer. Yes. Now, let's put a bit of wider context on there for other people watching it. Japanese knotweed is enough to make a property unmortgageable unless it's in a treatment program, or until it's excavated. Most people don't do that because you have to go 3 meters down and 3 meters beyond its outer perimeter, and that's an awful lot of earth. And usually that would extend beyond your boundaries or in your property if it's within 3 meters of your property. So a 5 or 10 year chemical treatment program is usually the way that it's dealt with. As soon as it's in the treatment program, it becomes mortgageable, not necessarily with every mortgage lender, but with a load of mortgage lenders. And if you bought it with a limited company, because it's a bit of a scourge, Japanese knotweed, and it causes an awful lot more problems, the government wants to encourage people to actually take on the treatment of it and get rid of it. And so they make it, financially viable for you to do so. They'll not only cover the full cost of treatment, they'll give you a 50% bonus and for saying, hey, thanks for doing your bit to help get Japanese knotweed under control, because there's certain areas of the country that it's certainly out of control. So there we are. Yeah. And, you won't get a mortgage on a property with untreated Japanese knotweed, but you will get a bridging loan. Bridging lenders routinely lend on Japanese knotweed properties. All they want to say is, how are you going to make it mortgageable? Well, I'm going to put it in a treatment program. That's how I'm going to make it mortgageable. Sounds reasonable. Here's the money. Okay, it takes a bit longer than that, but that's the principle of it. And Aston would know because he's done my advanced training, and so would anyone else that might be watching this done my advanced training. The Japanese knotweed are a fantastic buying opportunity. Why? Because anything that fits James Caan's, the ex-Dragon Dens guy, his brilliant saying, observe the masses, do the opposite. Anything that fits in with that is going to be a good buying opportunity. So when most people are running a mile from Japanese knotweed, the smart and savvy investor is saying, great, yeah, I'll take it on. And I've got other students of mine, Richard and Tanya, currently going through buying one, and yeah, got a great deal on that. Sellers are often really grateful to be able to offload their Japanese knotweed property. I know Richard and Tanya's one. They've been messed around by other people, other buyers, for well over 6 months. Shall we buy it? Shall we not? Yes, we will. No, we're not so sure. So they just come and say, yep, know about Japanese knotweed. There we are. We'll buy it. Thank you very much. But at a extraordinarily favourable price for taking on someone else's problem. Because that's the key thing. See, the best deals you get are when you take on the problem, someone else's problem that you know how to fix, that no one else wants to take on. And my training is all based around that. It's all based on finding problem properties, knowing you can solve them, and then relieving the seller of the problem, fixing the problem, and making a good profit. Oh, there's Matthew. There we are. Matthew's popped in. So Ches says thank you. Good. Okay. Now, if you need some bridging on that, Ches, happy to do it for you. And Matthew, he's coming along to my Birmingham BRR Refinance Summit in a couple of weeks' time. Treatment cost, yeah, but approximately £1,000 per 10 square meters. So not huge. That's another thing. People think, oh, it's going to be really expensive. Actually, it's not that expensive, really. And how expensive is it if you're getting paid by a tax rebate, if you like, to fix it? So there we are. Yeah, cracking deals. So I want to scroll back up, make sure I don't miss anyone. Aston says great info. Good. Yeah. See, that's what I do. So give great info. That's why people hop on here on a Monday morning. It's why people come to my events. It's why people train with me, and it's why people choose to be mentored by me. Good. So moving on. So if you're enjoying this particular Q&A, got a question, so I've got 2 or 3 more stacking up there. So where are we? 8:45. Okay, I'm going to be here for probably about 15 minutes longer if there's more questions. But if you've got a question, don't waste the opportunity. If you're watching, pop it in. So what have we got here? We got Martin. Good to see you, Martin. Hope you're well. I am actually. I'm pretty good. Oh, very good. Recovering from from a weekend, a double header weekend of doing buy, refurb, refinance summits. I was down in Bristol on Friday and in Heathrow for quite a big meeting. Well, big for me. I mean, I don't do 500 people at a meeting, but yeah, there was sort of 50 plus people there. Tell you a bit more about that before I go. Yes, I'm currently well. You're currently undertaking a refurbishment on your house. Okay. What is the best way to find out the potential value of the house and what work is required to achieve it? Is it as simple as asking a letting agency to come round and value the property? Okay. Let's look at that. First of all, letting agents don't know much about the value of property. What they know is what it will rent at, because they deal with rents, not sales. So letting agents would tell you, hey, make this property into a nice house. We think we could get you X amount a month, 800,000, whatever it might be. We could get you that much a month. So they'll tell you what they can rent it for, not what it's valued at. So an estate agent, and of course they may be two branches of the same business. You know, there may be the letting part and the agency part, sales part. So a estate agent would be able to give you their opinion, and I use that word deliberately, their opinion. Oh, the sun's getting a bit bright here. Let's bring that over a bit. There we are. That's it. There we are. So their opinion of what they could sell the property for. Now, agents being what they are, they know that if you're asking them, you're not asking only them, because no one takes the first quote. You know, we're taught from childhood, really, aren't we? Never accept the first quote. So they know you're going to be getting 2 other quotes as a minimum. So there's an incentive on them to be enthusiastic about the value they could get, because if they're too cautious, then 2 other agents will come in with higher estimates of what they could sell it for you for, and of course they would lose the business. So all 3 agents are going to be enthusiastic about the price they could sell, whether you can actually sell it for that or not. So you might get, shall we say, toppy valuations, Martin, if you do it that way, but it's a free way to do it. You know, agents come out and give you free valuations. So it's probably the most cost-effective way, because it's free. But the people that actually value properties on behalf of mortgage lenders are RICS valuers, Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, valuers. So they're the people that would give you a far more accurate thing, but they often don't come free unless you're sufficiently in property that you're using their services on at least a semi-regular basis, and having paid them from some work previously, they might actually do you a freebie if you just phone up and say, hey, what do you think this is going to be worth? So letting agency, not really. Estate agency, yes, they'll give you, but it might be higher than you would actually get it valued by a RICS valuer. RICS valuers give you the most realistic valuation, but of course you're unlikely to get their services free unless you're already known to them. So that's the best way to find the potential value. What work is required to achieve it? Making it desirable to rent or buy. That's the work. So if you're refurbishing it, there are things that are not desirable. So usually it's outdated. So the kitchen's dated, the bathroom's dated, the decoration is dated. So it could be updating them to achieve the premium value, and also putting right any defects. So if there's defects, so if the boiler doesn't work, or the windows are not airtight, or there's tiles missing on the roof, so refreshing so that it looks modern and up to date, and repairing any faults. That's the work that's required. You know, whenever you look at a property, it's pretty obvious what needs doing. You know, as I say, if things don't work, you've got to fix them. And fixing them usually doesn't mean repairing, it means replacing. And updating. Now, if you're going to rent it out, then it's got to be good enough to convince someone to spend several £100s a month. As long as it seems a reasonable condition to spend that sort of money, you'll rent it out. If you're selling it, you need a higher specification, because you're now convincing someone to spend tens or possibly hundreds of thousands of pounds, depending on what part of the country you're in. So your spec needs to be higher if you're going to sell it than if you're going to rent it. So the question you ask yourself is, what am I asking my target person to spend with me? You know, am I asking them to spend a few £100s renting it, or am I asking them to spend tens of thousands of pounds buying it? And that would determine the quality of the refurb that you do. Hope that helps, Martin. Let me know if it does. couple more questions popping in here. So, okay, you just popped in a question there. Remortgage is a target. Okay, so my previous comments, Martin, disregard the ones about sales, although anyone else watching it might find that useful. And there we are. Matthew's popped in and said, tax deductible. Yeah, hey, that is worth a cheesy smile, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. Good. Jez says, are market bridging loans common? No, they're not. Most bridging lenders don't do them. If anyone else watching is wondering, well, what the hell is a market bridging loan? Okay, so it's a market value bridge. In other words, they lend on the lower of the asking price or value, where most bridgers and all mortgage lenders lend on the lower of the purchase price or value. It's one of the key things that I teach to my students is that there's no need to pay a 25% deposit when you buy a property less than the asking price. A bit more difficult to achieve at the moment, but for problem properties that a cash buyer only, like Japanese knotweed, it's pretty common you pick up Japanese knotweed properties, as we've mentioned them earlier in this broadcast. It's pretty common you pick up those below the actual asking price, and therefore market value bridge would shrink your deposit. I've done a couple of videos on that. Oh, let me just find that. I've done a video on that. Let me see. I can show you how. Yeah, here we are. Did it literally a few weeks ago. There we are. Let's pop that in there. So if you want to find out if you're watching this and you want to find out more about market value bridging loans, which means you don't have to put 25% down, let's pop that video in. Go give it, have a watch of that. So how much do you put down? Well, the bigger your discount to the asking price, the less you've got to put down, because the discount forms part of the 25% deposit. So let's say you're putting, you can buy it 20% below asking price, then you've only got to find the other 5%. If it's 15% below asking price, you've got to find 10%. Yeah, not too hard to work out, really. There we are. Have we missed any questions? Yes, there we are. We've got one from Jane. So there we are. Got a question? I'm going to be off shortly, so you better be quick. We're back next Monday, of course. But there we are. Okay, so Jane, welcome. Are there any expat buy-to-let 75% loan-to-value mortgages available at the moment that don't require 3 lines of UK credit? Well, okay, I'm guessing you're not resident in the UK right now. Otherwise, that wouldn't be much of a relevant question, would it? So I'm guessing you're in some far-flung or not so far-flung corner of the world. So let's just position mortgage lending and mortgage lending criteria. So for UK mortgage lenders, the base criteria for the majority of them is that you, as the borrower, are currently resident in the UK. Now, if you're not, you can't use them because you fail their most basic criteria requirement. But there are tens and probably hundreds of thousands of British passport holders in numerous countries around the world on a temporary or not so temporary basis, who still want mortgages in the UK to rent out. And so these are called expat mortgages. Now, there are a number of lenders that do them. 75% isn't a real issue, but they would need to have a certain criteria. Now, different lenders have different criteria. So can't answer that question off the top of my head, but one of our brokers, and it would typically be Isaac at our brokerage, because he's our buy-to-let broker guy, he would be able to drill down and have a look at that for you. So Jane, get in touch with us, and if you want us to do some preparatory work, we'll send you a quick inquiry form. It's about a 3-page thing, giving us enough details, and then we'll do some research, and then we'll come back to you with the results. If you want to do that, I'll give you 2 ways to contact me. You're coming through YouTube, so you can just go up to my homepage, and then along the top there'll be some tabs on there. Find the About tab, and you can connect me there. Alternatively, if you want to come through Facebook, I'm going to give you a link to just pop me a message there. I check that daily, more than daily, really, several times a day. So send me a message there, or contact me through that, and we'll have a look for you. If it's possible, if there's a lender out there, we'll find them, because we're directly authorised and regulated by the FCA, not part of any club or network, so we can deal with any lender. Good. Okay, appreciate your question, Jane. Have we got any more in here? A few people saying good morning. That's good. So here we are. iCook. There we are. Good to see you. What are the risks with these investments? Here we are. It's Cone. Okay. Other than buying too dear. I'm not quite sure. And hey, great to see, Cone. We met on Saturday because you were at the London Heathrow Buy Refurb Refinance Summit. So it was great to meet you, and look forward to working with you. So when you're saying these investments, are you talking about unmortgageable properties generally? You'll remember, because I made quite a big thing of it, you've got to buy at the right price, because if you pay too much for a property to buy it, refurb and refinance, it's very difficult to recover that by the refurb and the refinance. So you've got to buy right. The risk is that you don't fully understand how you can fix the problem. So you must have clarity on what the problem is. Can you fix it? What it's going to cost you to fix, and how much exponential value you're going to add by fixing it. If you can't fix it, you haven't solved the problem. You've just taken on someone else's problem. That wouldn't be a clever thing to do. If you spend, let's say, 20,000 on it, and you only add 20,000 to the value, you've got a mortgageable property, but you're not going to be able to recycle your cash back out. So you need to understand that those 4 things: what's the problem? Can I solve it? How much is it going to cost to solve it? And how much value will I add when I solve it? So those are the key things, really. All of which you'll learn, because you're going to jump on my advanced training, and you'll learn all of that sort of stuff, and a hell of a lot more besides. So you'll have all the information you need to make good buying decisions. And of course, I'll be there to support and mentor you, as I explained to you on Saturday, one-to-one, because I do that for the people that train me. Aston knows that. He's benefited from that, as I'm sure if he's still here, he'll confirm. Okay, Aston actually is closing a deal this month, using my guidance, that's more than twice the value of the most expensive property he's ever purchased in his life. Why is that? Because it's a great deal, and I showed him how to do it. So there we are. What else we got? We got anyone else here? Don't want to. I'm scrolling carefully because I don't want to skip through someone's question. Here we are. Right. So we've got a Facebook user here. So all that means is that you're coming through Facebook and you didn't click the button to give Facebook permission to share your identity. So it protects you from doing that. So I'll find out who it is when I drill through the comments later, because it will be in whichever page or group in Facebook you've come from, it'll be there. What are the best websites to find houses from auction? It's not a website, it's a subscription. Let me see if I can find it and put, I'm going to search the link now and see if we can find that for you. It's the Essential Information Group. There we are. I'm just getting it up on auctions. There we are. I'll explain a little bit about this. Let me pop the link in there first, and then so for you and anyone else, here we are. So it's Essential Information Group. So it's eigpropertyauctions.co.uk. You can see that coming up in the comments now. It is unquestionably the most comprehensive collection or I can't think of the bloody word now. But there are approximately 350 auction houses operating in the UK, and Essential Information Group collates all that information for its members if you subscribe, and it costs a few £100 a year. But if you're serious about buying at auctions, you know, it's incredible value for money. Wherever your properties, the properties you're looking at, now you might say, well, how the hell am I going to research 350 auction houses, all with, you know, tens or even hundreds of properties for sale on a monthly or near monthly basis? Well, what they do is they make it simple. They allow you to set up alerts. So, I don't know, let's say you want to buy 3-bedroom terraced houses in Halifax, for example. So you'd set up an alert to say, send me an email whenever a 3-bedroom terrace in Halifax comes up for auction, whichever of the 350 auction houses in whichever part of the country it is, let me know. And as soon as the catalogue is released, which tends to be about 4 weeks before the auction, you will get an alert, which gives you plenty of time to do your due diligence, do a visit, and decide if you're going to bid. And if you are going to bid, what's your maximum bid? So it's really good. And on that basis, unparalleled, in fact, there's no other place you can go and get that level of detail, level of that consummate covering of the auction market. It's quite diverse. Again, 350 auction houses is quite a lot. And the other thing it's got is historical data. So as a subscriber, you know, let's just carry on this supposed place. Let's just say you're looking for 3-bedroom terraces in Halifax, and I'll just pick a street. One comes up in Church Street. You think, well, that looks interesting. Now, as a subscriber, you can then go look and you can key in Church Street, Halifax, and you can say, you can see going back pretty much 30 years what properties have sold for in Church Street when they come to auction. So you get a pretty good idea of what you can expect to pay. And then you can decide whether that works for you in terms of the profit margin you need to make based on what you need to spend on the property, because most properties that come up for auction aren't in pristine condition. They're fixer-uppers, to use a word. So there we are. If you're serious about auctions, become a subscriber, pay a few £100 a year, or take a shorter membership. You know, they'll do 3-month or 6-month memberships pro rata, just to try it out maybe. So there we are. That's the answer to that question. Hope you found that useful. Okay, so we're just rolling over the 9 o'clock now. So yeah, I'm just going to hang around now until I've answered any questions, and then I'm going to crack on with my day. And there we are. So have we got any more questions? Very careful scrolling. Down. Cheers is back. What criteria to limit company have to meet? They just need to be limited. To my knowledge, Jez, there's nothing else you need to be doing. There's no criteria. You just have to be a limited company. I mean, clearly you'd have to have the right SIC code to mean that you're either buying and selling or renting property. So whoever sets up your company would need to set the right SIC codes. So there. There we are. I'm guessing that's so the same question, George. You've come through with that on YouTube now, and and it's an identical question. In fact, you've done it twice. Actually, you put two things there. So I think I've already answered that because, you know, and if by any chance it wasn't you asking the question in Facebook, you got the answer anyway a few minutes ago. Karen says, great meeting on Saturday. I enjoyed meeting you, and I enjoyed meeting and chatting with you, and I'm looking forward to working with you. Aston, yep, definitely a benefit. Yep, it is, isn't it? Yeah. Getting involved with me and helping me guide your property career will allow you to progress faster and bigger. Those are the things I do. Let's scroll down. Well, so Ricky, there we are. I'm looking to remortgage my current property to raise extra capital to invest in property development. Good. The property in question is currently very outdated. Should I do a refurb before I remortgage? Well, up to you. Now, I'm not clear on whether you're living in it or renting it out. If you're living in it, main residence mortgage lenders are more tolerant of condition. So in other words, if you want to live in, you know, not the best condition property, they're not really got an issue with that. If it's a rental property, then they're more likely to have an issue. And the reason for that is because you're asking someone else to pay to live in that condition. So buy-to-let lenders have a far lower tolerance of poor condition properties because they just take the view that, you know, someone's not going to pay rent to live in this. Now, so maybe you'll clarify that, but let's take it when you say my current property, and we'll assume that unless you tell different to me, it's the property you live in. You know, and if you live in a property for a few years, you tend to sort of drift along, and it's not uncommon that it wouldn't be, you know, you're not continually updating it necessarily, and it can become a bit dated. So that's okay. So, well, clearly, if your objective is to raise extra capital to invest in property development, you'd potentially be able to raise more if it was worth more. Now, if it's a main residence mortgage, making it worth more doesn't automatically mean you can borrow more, because borrowing more is down to a number of factors: your age, your provable income, even the type of work you do, and your commitments, credit commitments, so loans, credit cards, your lifestyle expenditure. Whole load of stuff goes into determining with a main residence mortgage how much you can actually borrow. So adding value doesn't necessarily mean that you've got the circumstances that are going to allow you to borrow more. So you might want to check that out first. And again, as brokers, we're very happy to do that, Ricky. And if you were listening earlier, I said to you, if you want to contact us, we'll send you out a fact find and we'll tell you how much you can borrow based on your circumstances. And then you can make a decision whether you want to spend the money refurbing the property. But if you want to borrow the most money, then increasing the value is going to give you the potential to release more equity. You can, as I said to you, you're coming through YouTube, so you can just go to the top of YouTube and click on the About, contact me there, or you can use the Kevin Wright Property Finance Expert Facebook page, whichever one. Thanks for your question, Ricky. We've been happy to help you. S Bang says, great questions. I'm in the same situation. Not quite sure which situation you're in, but obviously one of them has been relevant to you. So thank you. You also said, great info. That's the one I would like to know now. Yeah, don't know which one it is, but if you found it useful, great. Joe Jackie said, thanks again. You're very welcome, Joe Jackie. Okay, so it looks like at now 11 minutes past 9 on this Monday morning, increasingly sunny Monday morning as well. It looks like we're just about done. Now, when I say that, that often prompts someone to think, oh, I need to get a question in quick before you go. And if you do that, you better be quick, because I'm going to sign off literally in the coming seconds rather than minutes. So thanks for watching live, or thanks for watching the replay, whichever it is. I'm grateful you have. Whether you watched all of it live or part of it live and the rest on replay, it's going to hang around these. I've switched this when I'm making a change that starts this way. I used to leave the YouTube video up for a week and then just delete it. But I'm going to leave them up, well, forever really, I guess, now. And I'm going to actually get my techie guys. I think they're able, like, based on the discussion we had last week, that they're able to republicize the previous ones going right back to April 2020 when I first started doing these. So I think that'd be more of a resource for there. If you find that, you know, going through, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes worth of things to find out a particular question is a bit cumbersome, then I've got a little thing called Fiverr Tribe, which actually allows you to do a word search. So if we were set, let's say, land registry, you might have think, oh, I want to ask a question about land registry, and you type land registry into the word search facility as a member of Fiverr Tribe, and it would come up with every time I'd mentioned land registry in all these weekly videos, and you go straight to the point, like you would with where we were talking about it earlier with Aston, and you go straight to the point where that's done. Let me find your link for that. You might want to find that. If you might want to join that, might be nice. I'm just getting copying that in there, popping it in here. There we are, Fiverr Tribe. There you go. You get a weekly video that's unique to Fiverr Tribe. You won't find those on YouTube anywhere. And you get some discounts to come along to my events and any of my products. And guess what it costs? It's $5 a month. Okay, so last thing before I go, I've been doing these buy, refurb, refinance summits. We've been talking about those earlier. And I do 4 in the autumn. I've done 3. I've got 1 left. It's Birmingham in 2 weeks' time. So let me just pop the link there. If you can get to Birmingham on Sunday, the 3rd of October, for the last of the autumn buy, refurb, refinance summits. Here's the link. BRRsummit.com. Summit. Oh, I think I've done that. No, that should be BRR Summit. So I'm going to do that again because the S is erroneous. That shouldn't be there. That's it. See, I did that fatal thing, didn't I? I'm a man, and I just tried to do, you know, multitask. Tried to talk and type. Way too complex for my brain. Yeah. So there we are. Thank you for your participation this morning. I'll be back again next Monday, 8:30 a.m. With a fresh cup of tea and more questions answered. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next Monday.